Welcome to the Holistic Kid Show. My name is Zane.
My name's Abdullah.
And my name's Imad.
We're the Holistic Kids, here to educate us kids from the inside out. These bones, gotta walk around. These bones, gotta walk around. But we need to keep them healthy, so these bones, gotta.
Okay, Zane.
We love your singing, but you bring up a good point. How are we going to keep our bones healthy?
By drinking milk?
No, I think there's more to it than that. So today we have an expert in the house to talk about just that. We are so incredibly honored to have with us Miss Margie Bissinger to explore this topic. Margie Bissinger is a physical therapist, integrative health coach, and happiness trainer. Margie has over 25 years of experience helping people with osteoporosis and osteopenia improve their bone health through an integrative, comprehensive approach. She is the author of Osteoporosis, an exercise guide, and the host of the Natural Approaches to Osteoporosis and Bone Health Summit that starts on January 17th. That's so close. And Margie has lectured to Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, and even hospitals, and women groups throughout the country. She has been featured in the New York Times, OBGYN News, and has contributed to numerous health and fitness books.
Welcome back, Miss Margie. We are so honored to have you on our show today.
I am so excited to be here with you.
We would love to hear a story. How did you get so interested in bones?
You know, it's an interesting thing. So I'm a physical therapist, and I was working with people in orthopedics. So that's people with back pain, neck pain, injuring their knees, shoulders. And then there was a group of doctors that called me up and asked, would I see their patients with osteoporosis? And what that is, that's a condition where you have thin bones. You know, your bones just aren't as strong. And so I said, sure. And I started seeing these people, and they were doing, the doctors told them to exercise, but they were doing all the wrong exercises. And so I realized that they needed help. And so this was over 25 years ago. So that's what started me getting, realizing that there was so much that could be done to help people who did have osteoporosis, and a lot of it wasn't known, and they were doing things that were actually harming them. So that's how I got involved.
You talk a lot about bone disease or weak bones. Is that more of an adult problem?
That is such a great question, because that's what most people think. Most people think, oh, that's something I don't have to worry about till I'm, way older. That's an old person's disease. That's what people call it. But the truth is, and here's what's so exciting about, I'm so happy that we're talking about this topic, because what you do as a child makes a huge difference. It really starts, it's sort of like a bank. You put money in your whole life, and then you have money later on to take from. So that's what happens with your bones, because you get actually almost 90 up to 90% of your bones, your peak bone, like the most bone you're going to have in women by the time they're 18 and 20 in men. So what you do as a kid makes a huge difference. It's sort of like you're putting deposits in the bank by doing all these good habits versus not putting deposits in, right? And then so if you have a lot more bone, if you lose bone as you get older, which happens, it's not a problem. So it matters so much what you do, and people just don't know that or think about it. And who wants to get old and not be able to enjoy their grandchildren and to travel and to be scared that they'll fall and break a bone? So yes, what you do when you're young is going to make such a big difference.
Why should kids care about their bones?
Yeah. So think about that. You're sort of thinking about your bones. No one's thinking about their bones. But why would you want to get older and end up falling and breaking your hip? Or why would you not want to have really strong bones through your life so that you don't have to worry later on about, or even if you don't take care of your bones, if you fall and your bones aren't strong, you could break them. So who doesn't want really strong bones all your life? And then especially as you get older, you're not going to have to worry about osteoporosis or having weak bones, and you can enjoy your life. So it's something that, don't we want to be strong so we can do things and enjoy life?
So, can kids get bone diseases and weaker bones?
I'm sorry, can who get that? Wait, what was your question?
Can kids?
Oh, can kids? There's some rare conditions where that can happen. But yes, if kids, there are conditions. But if someone really isn't getting nutrients, there's a couple things. People, if you have real issues where you're not absorbing your food, you could start having problems. Sometimes female athletes that have been found to have osteoporosis because they're over exercising and it's affecting their hormones. So there are some conditions where it can affect kids. Typically, it's not going unless there's a real issue. Most people aren't going to have problems till they get older or notice it. But certainly there are people who, break bones throughout their life and they do have problems.
So you're told that you need to drink milk if you want good bones, right? We hear that a lot in class,
Yeah.
and lots of doctors. It's a common thing, right? Like if you want strong teeth, you need to drink milk, or you want strong bones, like and the milk has the calcium. But is that really the case?
That's I love that question because you're so right. There was a time, I think it was before you, where they had milk mustaches. I don't know if you ever saw that. It would be strong and have milk mustaches and have all these athletes. So yes, milk was always shown that was the way to get strong bones, but that's not the case for many reasons. Number one, the research doesn't prove that the people in the countries where they drink more milk have stronger bones. The other problem is, as your mom knows, so many people have issues with milk. And for so many people, it's inflammatory. So inflammation is one of the causes of osteoporosis. So for anybody who becomes inflamed, it's probably one of the worst things that they can do. As well as it hasn't been shown, there are so many other ways to get calcium. So it's not that milk is the panacea, and that has not been shown at all. So it's not what I would tell people at all. Oh, just drink more milk. But you're right. That's what's shown, that if you drink 3 glasses of milk a day, you'll have strong bones. But that isn't the case.
And on the topic of strong bones, you talked about exercising and having certain exercises for bones. I mean, most people, when you think about exercising, you think about muscles. But do we need to how do you exercise your bones?
I love that question also. So here's the thing, the muscle attaches to the bone. So when you're using your muscles, it's pulling on the bone, saying, hey, we need some more bone here. So by exercising your muscles, so here's what really stimulates bone. Like bone responds to forces. So for kids, the most important thing, because so many kids, I don't know, do you see this where kids have gotten sort of lazy and they're not exercising that much? Do you have any friends like that, or know people that just sort of sit
Most people
around?
don't exercise, and it's not like everyone goes to the gym every single day, or
Right.
most people don't go to the gym.
It doesn't have to be the gym. The key here is to get forces. So jumping, playing sports, playing basketball, playing soccer, going on jungle gyms, or, lots of jumping, lots of forces. That's how you develop strong, healthy bones, playing and just being really active. Again, so the jumping is one of the best things. I know when I was a kid, it might have been more of a girl thing, but we did something called hopscotch, where you're like on 2 feet, then you're on 1 foot, do you know that? Yeah. So those kind of things, all of those forces, running and jumping and just doing all that kind of thing really puts forces on your bones, and that's what you need. So it's absolutely essential, even if you're not, or dancing, just get up, put some good music on, jump around, dance. All of those forces that you would get by just, doing sports and playing and all of those things, that's what's needed. But the problem is, years ago, we didn't have these kind of devices. People now will sit in front of the computer and they just sit for so long. And when you don't use your bones, you lose them. So you can actually, it's a real risk factor. People who just sit all day, they can have really weak bones. So very important that you just do all sorts of exercises what you can. And for mothers who are listening, resistance training, when you're using weights and working against a force, that's like tugging on the bone, saying, hey, we need some more bone here. So things that go against weight, again, it's called weight bearing. So that's like dancing, jumping, you're doing things against gravity, or using resistance, using types of forces, like weights and things, or even your body weight, doing push-ups or doing things where you have a force on that your muscles are working against. It's going to make such a difference throughout life. Start as a kid and then continue throughout your life, and you'll be so much better. You'll be in your 90s dancing.
What else can we eat to strengthen our bones?
Okay, so yes, as you mentioned, calcium, but you can get it from so many different places, and that's the good thing. You can get it from leafy greens, bok choy, collard greens, kale. Leafy greens are one of my favorite ways, sardines. So lots of ways to get calcium that are not from milk. And and again, some people can tolerate dairy, but a lot of people can't, and you certainly don't want to increase inflammation in that sense. So that's very important. But also, your mom is the best one who talks about eating from the rainbow. And you will get, I think that's just such good advice when it comes to your bones as well, because you're going to get all the nutrients. It's not, a lot of people say it's just calcium and vitamin D. And vitamin D we can get from the sun, but a lot of people may not be getting enough. So calcium, vitamin D, but you need more. There's magnesium, which is really important, as well as vitamin K2, K1. So there's just the whole, but I think the best thing is if you eat from the rainbow, and don't, there are certain things that rob the bones, and certain things are not good for the bones, like sugar. And I know you guys know about that, but sugar reduces the amount of calcium and magnesium in your bones. So it's something, the people who are eating junk food and the sugar, all of that is actually not letting you develop those nice strong bones that you want.
Also, if someone's playing video games and you say exercise, they might say, oh, I'm exercising my finger and my thumb bones.
Yes, they may say that, but right, what you want to do is your whole body. The areas that are really problems as people get older who have the weak bones that tend to fracture, to break, are the hip, the spine, and the wrist. And so when you're doing exercises, it's important, when people are doing squats and jumping, you're getting your whole body, and doing exercises for the back muscles are so important. And so, just doing push-ups, different things like that as well. But yeah, that's not going to do it. That's not the type of exercise we're talking about. We're talking about the whole body.
Also, one question: how do you exercise your skull?
Your skull?
Yeah, it's a bone. Why
Oh,
do you
oh, your
exercise it? Because it's too
oh,
strong.
you know what? The problem with, well, your skull doesn't really have a problem fracturing. Like, they haven't found that's one of the type of bones that fractures. So you really can't exercise your skull per se, but your neck muscles, everything that attaches to your head is really, it's important. And the other thing that's so important when it comes to your skull is the position. So a lot of people now, text, and their heads like this. It's called text neck. They're forward. So they're putting their skull in a funny position. And so if you do that, your muscles have to work so hard to hold your head up that they become overworked and they're tired and achy. And so you really, that text neck is such a bad thing because it also, like, feel your neck for a minute. Everybody feel your neck. Do you feel it goes in a little bit? Do you feel the back of your neck curves in? There's like a curve there in your neck.
Yeah.
Can you feel it's not straight? It goes in. So what's happened, they found with kids who are texting all day and their heads forward. And if you move your head forward, you like lose that. Can you feel that? Like you don't have that nice curve.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah. So what happens is the shape of the neck is changing so that people are like having their head forward, and that's going to cause lots of pain when you get older, and it's not going to make your neck as strong because that inward curve is important. So it's just very negative. They're finding all sorts of bad things with text neck, and people have pain. Kids are having pain in their shoulders, in their backs. So the posture is really important for everybody, but starting as young as you can.
What else can kids do so they have strong, healthy bones as they get older?
Okay, so number one, we talked about exercise. So throughout life, exercise, it's just important to make it a priority. Doing the resistance, the impact, the jumping, just very important to continue to exercise on a regular basis. Number one. Number two, which we talked about, was eating from the rainbow and really having good eating habits, as well as if they have problems with digestion or if they have issues that cause inflammation. And I know you've had so many people talk about that on your show, but any kind of inflammation, dealing with it when you're younger. Because if you're not absorbing your nutrients and the good nutrition from the food, it's going to affect your bones. So very important to deal with any issues when you're young as well. So eating from the rainbow, getting good calcium, making sure you're getting the vitamin D. So eating well and dealing with issues. And then the other thing is your lifestyle, because stress and worry, what happens is that releases the stress hormone cortisol, and that reduces the bone building cells. So just like with everything, stress just isn't a good thing. Learning techniques, and I know that your family practices them, and learning deep breathing or meditation or walking in the woods in nature, whatever it is, that's going to help reduce your stress, because there is stress in life. So it's not a matter of getting rid of it, because we can't. But what practices can we do so that it doesn't throw us over, so we can still stay relaxed and not let it affect us? And if we do that, that will help everything, but it's a very important part of having strong bones as well.
We hear a lot about vitamin D. Does that really help?
Yes, vitamin D is essential because vitamin D is necessary in order to absorb the calcium that the bones need. So there are a lot of people that, aren't in the sun or aren't getting enough vitamin D, and that's going to have a big effect on your bones. Absolutely. Good question.
So, you were talking about like what other foods are bad for your bones? I mean, you're talking about obviously sugar and dairy, but what about others specific to your bone health?
Yes. So basically, food, sodas. Sodas aren't good. Any sort of the fake food that, also if you fill up on the fake food, all the additives, all the preservatives really put a burden on your body, and then you're not going to get the nutrients that you need. So any of the, processed food is not good for your bones, as well as, all of the junk food. And then you just need a balance. You want some protein, and you need, in order for your bones to not break, you also want protein and vitamin C as well. So when you're eating all the junk food and when you're filling up on things that just isn't even real food, you're not going to get all those nutrients that you need. But the biggest thing is the fake food, the processed food, and the sugar. That's going to really just rob your bones, as well as, all the artificial ingredients and all the toxins in the food. Also, that's going to cause inflammation in the system and just, negatively affect your bones, as well as, there's things like heavy metals can get stored in your bones. So we certainly don't want that. That will weaken the bones as well.
Yeah, that is horrible.
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 Are there other important nutrients your bones need?
Yes, well, there's a whole list of important foods, important. So there's boron, there's zinc, all the different things. But the keys, I would say, the absolute most important are the calcium, the vitamin D, vitamin K2, which is something that helps the calcium get into your bones and takes it away from places it's not meant to be. So it's another important vitamin. Also, the leafy greens are big in K1, and that's something that also helps prevent fractures as well, keeps your bones flexible. So if you do fall, you don't break them.
I mean, you're talking about metals. I mean, what do you mean by metals and heavy metals?
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So there's different there's different things like lead, for example. So some like old houses have paints that have lead in them, or certain things have lead in the environment. And what that does, it gets stored in your bones. So instead of having all the good calcium and nutrients, now there's lead in your bones. So that can weaken your bones. And so not that that's in your food, the lead per se, but there are some other things that, are in some of the toxins that can possibly, like mercury as well, or other things that can negatively affect your bones. Does that make sense? So you just
Yeah.
don't want to get exposed to that.
What other things can kids do to help?
I think the other thing, and we touched upon it a little, is the posture. Because as you get older, you want to, in order to do your exercises properly, you want to have good posture. And what I see all the times that's such a problem is that kids are slouched. And so if you're in your back, if you also feel your low back, there's like a little curve that goes in as well. But instead of having this inward curve like in your real low back, when you're rounded, when you slouch and that low back is rounded, it puts you in this posture. And guess what? As we grow up in that posture, it's going to be very hard to exercise properly because we're not in alignment. Does that make sense at all? So, for example,
Yes.
try something. Ready? So, slouch for a minute, right? And bring your shoulders in. And now try to lift your arm in that position. What happens? Can you go all the way up if you're
No.
rounded? Right. Right. So what happens is we put our shoulder in a position that causes impingement and pain. And here you want to play sports, you want to enjoy your life. And now, because of this posture, but it gets worse over age. So I'm sure you've seen older people like all bent over. So posture throughout life and starting now, starting at any age. So one thing you can do is how you sit. One of the big things is people sit. If you sit rounded, everything collapses. So what you can do, if you sit on your hands for a minute, you'll feel two bones. You sort of want to sit on those bones. Those are the sit bones. And so it's actually, there's a summit that I'm having, and one of the gifts is a little course. It's like a little mini course, but in one of the mini courses, I have all these videos on how to sit, how to stand in good posture. So, and that's for all ages because it's so important. So I think the key is, and even if you feel that you can't, you can even take, like, for example, so I have it right here. You can take like a towel roll if you have to and roll it up, or and you just put that in your low back, like right in the curve. If you can't sit up, and it just doesn't allow you to round out. So there's lots of things you can do, but I think the most important thing is sort of to be aware of it. Hey, wait, I'm slouched at my computer. What can I do? And there's lots of good things you can do. that you can, yeah, now you guys are all sitting up so nice. But it makes a
Yeah.
difference. Like you may not feel it right now, but as we get older, we want to be in a good posture because that's the best way to strengthen our bodies, our bones, also reducing pain. But we certainly don't want to, and that bad posture as people get older puts them more at risk for fractures in their spine. So I think that's one thing. So I think all the things I said, eating from the rainbow, just like I know your family does. Your family is really eats terrific, and and getting just all the nutrients as well, the protein and everything that you do. So that's number one. Making sure you get enough calcium with the leafy greens, or however you can, the vitamin D, as well as the exercise, and then doing things, whether it's mindfulness, whatever it is, so that you can stay relaxed. Some type of practice like that is so important.
Wow, that was amazing, Wow, that was amazing, Miss Margie. What is one thing that kids can start today to help their bones?
I would say the most important thing is the exercise and doing like impact. Like I would start jumping. I would do whether it's jump rope or jumping jacks or dancing, anything. I think making exercise every single day essential. I think that's if I just say the first thing and the most important is just get up. Even if you're in the middle of sitting at your computer doing work, stop. You can turn your music on. You can do jumps. You can do run outside, hopscotch, whatever it is, but just get that exercise as well as fun. It's all fun. I'm a big believer in having fun. So playing and exercise, just make that a big part of your life. I'd say that's the number one thing I would say.
You have an amazing summit on bone health. Can you tell us more about that summit?
Yes, absolutely. And your mom is one of the speakers. She's talking about inflammation. And so I really wanted to, it's called the Natural Approaches to Osteoporosis and Bone Health. And I really wanted to get the word out, what people can do at all ages, because as we said, it's not just an older person's issue, what we can do about our bones. And so I have 46 experts in all areas. And so doctors who work with people with osteoporosis, physical therapists who actually show you the exercises, because I think it's important to learn exactly what you can do to strengthen your bones in the right way. So the physical therapists actually demonstrate the exercises as well as their stress reduction, what to eat, people really going through what foods are good in detail, what foods aren't good. So there's all sorts of things, what else contributes to bone health, for some people, gluten, and how does that? So there's a lot of different talks, even happiness, to how that affects our bones. So there's lots of talks people can choose from. And I'm really excited because I just think, and there's also for kids, there's a pediatrician who speaks, as well as there's a program called $1 Million Bones that talks about how to teach kids all about bone health. So there's for all ages, there's information. And I think it can make a big difference because we want to have strong bones through life, and there's stuff that we can do. So that's what I wanted to do, really teach people what they can do at all ages. And even if you have osteoporosis, there's so much that can be done, because unfortunately, a lot of times people are put on medication and they haven't addressed the root causes. So I wanted people to learn what causes bone loss and what they can do. And there's lots of free gifts. As I said, there's a whole posture thing. There's calcium-rich foods. There's lots of free gifts if people sign up that they'll get. And it's free, the summit. So, and your mom was great. She did such a good talk on inflammation.
Where can people learn more about you and your work?
Well, people could go to my website, which is and you'll have the link. Your mom has the link to the link to the summit. Oh, I see you're putting it there as well. So you can go to my website. It's just margiebissinger.com. And I also have a podcast that your mom's been on, Happy Bones, Happy Life podcast.
Everyone, make sure to check out that summit and follow Miss Margie on social media. Thank you so much, Miss Margie. That was so empowering. As usually we don't know what we can do to help our bones when we get older. We didn't know that kids can do so much. So thank you for giving us so much hope. Let's recap Miss Margie's key points. As kids, we can start to fill the bank for healthy, strong bones for strong bones.
So the decisions we make today can help to build better bone health now and into the future.
1. Start moving today. Jumping jungle gyms, being active every day is powerful of overall bone health. It is so much fun.
You can get calcium from a lot of sources like kale, sardines, and other greens. Make sure to focus on lots of veggies, clean protein, and healthy fats. As we love to eat the rainbow, it's fun and delicious and so colorful. We don't need any of those food colorings, and give you the nutrients for the best bone health.
Sugar and fake foods. Sugar can rob the minerals from the bones.
Yeah, and I'll learn now. Make sure to get enough protein, vitamin C, vitamin K2, and vitamin D. These minerals are essential to help grow healthy bones.
Your lifestyle and stress can release cortisol that weakens your bone. So it is important to learn techniques to lower stress. We love to incorporate meditation and prayer.
6. Keep away from chemicals as they can get stored in your body bones.
And good posture is always important for good bone health. Stop slouching. It's bad for your spine and can cause permanent damage. I know you've heard that like 10 times.
Thank you again, Miss Margie. And a slouch, if you slouch, it'll make you a grouch. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Zainat Sari.
I'm Bella.
And I'm Imad.
Follow my family and I on social media, Holistic Mom MD, and look out for my mom's book, The Holistic RX, Your Guide to Healing Chronic Inflammation and Disease. And we are so excited to announce our mom's new books that launched, The Holistic RX for Kids, Parenting Healthy Brains and Bodies in a Changing World, and the amazing children's book we wrote together called Adam's Healing Adventure, The Power of Rainbow Food. So check it out on Amazon. Yay! Kids need to learn from other kids. Please download our podcast in iTunes and leave a review so other kids and families can benefit. We need to work together to create a healthier future for all of us and the planet. Join us next week for another episode of the Holistic Kids Show, where kids are empowering kids. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.